Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. This is another installment of Abba to Zappa, and in this section we're going to be covering part Q. Yeah, so here we are in part Q, and I know the first thing you're probably wondering is, Eddie, you usually spoil us by having two vinyl records with artists that have the letter that correspond with the letter that you're covering with in the video. You've got Q for Queen over here, but why is this one missing? Well, I really struggled to find another record that I own with the letter Q. I was going to put some Cuban jazz here. But no one would have found that funny. Yep. So I'm a bit scant when it comes to having records with Q, and it's the same with CDs. So this is going to be definitely the shortest part. So I think we should just get straight onto it. First talking about Quasimodo. This album is basically done by Madlib. He's under the pseudonym Quasimodo. The album's called The Unseen. And this is a record that you've done in the midst of basically working with MF Doom. So why Quasimodo and not Madlib? Well, because Quasimodo's basically an alias that Madlib uses when he raps himself. And it's very rare that Madlib raps in his own sort of, well, voice. Because Quasimodo is, as the name would suggest, a bit of a hybrid, a monster. And not only does he rap in that sort of style lyrically, but also pitches up his voice very highly. So that's immediately not going to sit well with some people. But I think in terms of quirkiness, there's a lot to enjoy here. And it honestly is a thing where there's so much going on with this record that I don't think that should put you off. I think there's a lot going on for this thing. And even if it's not your cup of tea, I think it's one of those CDs or albums where you need to listen to this if you want to consider yourself as a sort of hip-hop connoisseur, especially of the underground variety. So this is worth checking out, definitely. And then we're going to talk about Queen, but not just one Queen. We're going to be talking about three Queens, actually. So I know you're going to get Deja Vu here, or Double Vision, but I've got A Night at the Opera here. And it's the only Queen CD that I own. And for years, I've always wanted to pick up more. When I was through the sort of phase of the big sort of bands that have these remasters where they're having deluxe versions and stuff, I was going to do a thing where I was going to get 2 CD deluxe versions of every single Queen record. I was in that sort of mindset with, you know, groups like Pink Floyd, Jethro Tull, and I was like that with Queen for a bit. And when I say for a bit, it lasted for one album. And that's not because I dislike Queen. Queen are a group that, well, they're basically there with the Beatles in terms of getting me into rock in general, if not just music in general. I used to listen to this best of that my brother and my parents had countless times. It was Greatest Hits 2, which I actually enjoy more than 1. And the music videos, we used to have a DVD with all the music videos, and obviously all of the music videos that Queen have done are absolutely classic, especially Bicycle Race. Hubba hubba. Yep. And yeah, so this CD is obviously known as probably their best album, but I'm not going to judge it because I've never really sat down and listened to a lot of Queen albums themselves. But saying that, there is an album that I still would like to get, and that's Innuendo. And I'd say that because that is another album I've fully heard by Queen, and it's probably my favourite one by them, because I love the idea of them going gothic. And obviously it's basically apart from Made in Heaven, it's like a swan song for Freddie. And there's so many great tracks on that. But of course there's great tracks on here too. You know, You're My Best Friend, 1939 is amazing. Obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody. But one of my favourites, which I really like, is I'm in Love with My Car. I've really always enjoyed that. So, yeah, really good. And by the way, I'm seeing Roger Taylor with a few mates in a not too long distance future too, so look forward to that. Next Queen we're talking about is Queens of the Stone Age. I have a few records by them. I'm not going into too much detail with them. if you like your rock, again talking about rock, I suppose, but they're one of my favourite modern sort of rock groups going. I mean, Rated R, classic, and I mean, I blitzed through this one as well. Era Vulgaria, or how you pronounce it. I haven't even heard this one yet. Still in its rapping, but yeah, can't really judge that one. But the two I want to really talk about is Songs for the Deaf and Like Clockwork, and these are my two favourites by them, and I love these records both, and I can't decide which one I prefer more. Actually, I own this on vinyl, and I'm not going to turn the camera around, but there's just records absolutely scattered everywhere because I couldn't find it. I don't know why. But saying that, even though I own it on record, I will never get rid of this CD. Not because I love the album so much, but some people say, what's the point of having a CD nowadays, you know, with like the whole streaming services and stuff like that. But to me, this is the album that you put on in your car. If your car still has a CD player, this is an album you go to, because this is the driving album. I mean, I can't think of a better record that's for that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a brilliant record. It's a basically flawless record as well. Obviously, a lot of people know songs like No One Knows, maybe Hanging Tree, First It Giveth, God Is on the Radio. But yeah, every song on here is fantastic in my opinion. My favourites are probably the first track, The Sky Is Falling, Do It Again, so catchy, the title track. Yeah, you can't go wrong with this record. It's fantastic. But what I also hold really, really highly in regard is Like Clockwork, which was, I bought this when it came out. I can't say it's modern anymore because, oh my god, it's like nearly a decade old now. But it's still, considering the sort of span of how long these guys have been going on, this is one that you might overlook, but I highly recommend this one. In terms of maturity and songwriting, I think Josh just absolutely nails it here, and there's just something about it that's got a very sort of melancholic sound to it. I'm unsure into the backstory of this. Maybe there was issues going on personally with the artists involved here, but I get very sort of melancholic, even though it's a rock record technically, when I hear songs on here. Especially with songs like the title track, Smooth Sailing, I Appear Missing, of course, My God Is the Sun, If I Had a Tail's a rocker. I mean, a lot of them are great, but you just need to hear the first track, for example, Keep Your Eyes Peeled, where you can definitely tell something's a bit different with this, but different in such a good way. I love this record a lot as well. Melodies and all that, songwriting chops, all fantastic. So even though I haven't heard everything by them, I still haven't heard, for example, the debut album, which I know is supposed to be really good, and the latest stuff too. I can't say enough that I still really recommend this. And the last Queen we're going to be talking about, which again is going to be covering them very quickly, is Queensryche. These guys, very notorious nowadays, especially if you're following with what's been going on with the band. There's technically two Queensryches going on. It's a mess, and some people, and I can't say it myself because I haven't heard everything by them, I'm just going by what a lot of people are saying, the band's discography is a bit of a mess too. But saying that, when I picked this up, I knew it was supposed to be a classic, and a classic it is. This is basically a rock metal opera epic sort of thing, and it's Operation Mindcrime. And again, talking about essential listens, this is definitely an essential listen too. I really enjoy it when a sort of concept album goes well, and this is definitely one. And maybe it might not be your cup of tea, vocals maybe, and just kind of the whole sound of it might be, I don't know, I don't want to say cheesy because I don't usually like saying what's called cheesy and what's not, because I think if you were to say something's cheesy, you would think something's over the top and you just don't enjoy it. But I think that's kind of offensive, I suppose, to someone who really enjoys something and someone calls it cheesy. Because if you don't find it over the top, that would mean you're really into it. But I'm just saying some people might find it like that. And I don't overall. I would say listen to the title track and get your sort of thoughts on it. But I still think this is an essential listen. And this is the last CD I'm going to talk about. I picked this up purely at a whim at a sort of market around my area, which is gone now, because I like the cover. Don't judge a book by its cover, except when you should, because you pick up amazing sort of cult classic albums like this. This is an Italian progressive symphonic rock group called, I'm gonna botch this up, excuse me, Che Vecchia Locanda Il Tempo Gela. Okay, I'm just going to give up halfway through. Yeah, but these guys, I think they've only made ever like 2 albums. This is from like the mid 70s, and it's a gorgeous listen. Like, I think what sells this, not only because of the like jaw-dropping vocals in this, but like the stringed accompaniment to a lot of this is absolutely fantastic. It just shimmers and glows, and it's just kind of like heavenly, which that sort of atmosphere I usually wouldn't associate with, at least around this sort of decade even. But this record really fills the bill. I can't really talk about the debut these guys released, but I'm probably kicking myself not listening to it because this is still really good. So yeah, this is released under Sony, and I don't know how hard this is to pick up, considering it was obviously released on such a big company label. But if you can find this, if you like your prog in any way, shape or form, then pick it up, guys. And that's it then. I still think I rambled on despite only talking about a few albums technically, but I appreciate you guys watching this. Please stick around because I've got a few interesting things coming up, and yeah, the next time I'm going to be doing Abba de Zabba, I'm going to be splitting part R into 2 actually. Part 1 is to be covering obviously a lot of R artists, but the second one is going to actually be another band which is under the name R, but I've got so many albums by them, and I've got so many albums in general under the R name that I am going to be absolutely knackered if I was to try and cover both at the same time. So I'll split it up, and I'll basically I'll dedicate a special Abba de Zabba to this band because I love them so much, and like I said, I've got so much by them. So that's it, everybody. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening.